Hello and welcome to another game from the Yandere Game Jam on Itch. This is 1016. It is created by a user, or I should say a developer, named Catsket, Catsket. And I do want to read the trigger warnings for this before we get too far into it, because this may be, it's not going to be for everyone. So this game contains themes of possessiveness, religion/religious trauma, and death. And the blurb for it is you have recently died in an accident and you just want to go to paradise. When you're sent to the depths of hell, you can only do one thing: travel through the nine circles and state your innocence to Satan. Everyone has been kind to you so far. Too kind, maybe. Especially the keeper of Heresy, the sixth circle. In the confines of his space, while an ash storm rages outside, the two of you pry each other open, but he might break you first. So, that is the short blurb for the game. And like I said, this does contain heavy religious themes. I don't know what they consist of because I've never played it before, but just a warning for anyone where that may be more of a sensitive topic. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I know it says that it's recommended to skip the game intro for Let's Plays, but I mean, I kind of want to see it. I feel like it's important to sort of set the mood for the game.
Sometimes I sit and I stare at the rain. Isn't rain filled with sorrow? Wonder if I'll see my home again. Will it be dry tomorrow? Time passes softly and I'm a day older, but still I'm living days gone by. Ashes to ashes, the rain is turning colder. Finding tomorrow, the ashes, the rain, and I.
Yeah, the character art looks beautiful for this in a macabre sort of way. I'm assuming that's the elevator to hell. I don't know. And I guess that's us making our entry. The elevator's warmth was a relief from the cold waters of the Styx and the bodies inside thrashing on the water's surface. I knew the heat would soon become a fleeting feeling the deeper I went. I clasped a hand over the cross round my neck and took a deep breath. The door closed, and the elevator began its slow descent down into the thick of hell. Each elevator ride has been vastly different from the last in terms of both the elevator itself and the length of the ride down. While the time between the first and second circles only took 30 seconds, the ride between the fourth and fifth took what felt like 30 minutes. Some were smooth and in sleek modern elevators, or some were smooth and in sleek modern elevators. Others were My knees wobbled at the sudden rumble. I leaned my back against the wall. I felt like I was going to be sick. I'd rather not die a second time, let alone in an old elevator. I shut my eyes and hoped my stomach wouldn't give out again. The elevator stopped, and its doors opened. My eyes were not ready for the immediate surge of fog that washed into the elevator like waves. I swatted I swatted some of it away as I made my exit from the insecurity of metal. Dirt scattered below my feet with each step. I was in a cemetery shrouded in deep fog. There were no signs of life, not even in the form of trees or wildflowers. All there was were tombs, some open and empty, some closed. I called out into the mist, hoping someone would answer. The keepers of each circle have made themselves hard to find. At this point, it was expected. I called out again, my voice vanishing into a rasp as the fog ate my words. There was nothing to do but walk. As I trekked through the dirt between the gravestones, I noticed some of the tombs were on fire. Not enough to set dead grass alight, not enough to leave a smell. Eventually, I spotted someone in the distance, dressed in black and red, holding an umbrella. Were they a mourner? What would a mourner be doing in front of a burning tomb? I slowly approached, careful not to do anything too fast to set the stranger off. Are you the one trying to make his way to Satan? They were not facing me. Their eyes were cast down into the flaming abyss below us. Are you too scared to respond, Fallen? Oh, look at this character art. I mean, the design is, I think the design is really cool. They turned towards me with a small smile on their face. Both irises were white, but the rest of the eye was drowned in different colors, one red and one black. Over their mouth was a muzzle, like one a dog would wear. If it could not keep its mouth shut, and canines unsheathed. Welcome to Heresy, the Sixth Circle. My name is Dorian, and I am this circle's keeper. Is this a mask that they're wearing? Because if you look at this, the neck looks sort of to be a beige, but the face itself is white. Might I know your name, Fallen? My name is... What should we choose for our name? Let's go with Nicole. Nicole, that's a beautiful name. Do you really think so? Of course. What reason would I have to lie to you? I stared at the demon of heresy like the answer was obvious. Your circle is for false teachers of faith, for those who say falsehoods about the way religion works. Oh, interesting. And see, I know very little about religion. I'm not religious personally. I mean, I know the very basic foundations of the major religions, but that's about it. I've also taken the blasphemers and the liars under my wing. Does it bother you? You've met my friends in limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, and wrath. Sure, the deeper you go, the more horrifying it may appear to be. But it's not that bad, truly. Everyone has treated you well so far, correct? I reflected on each keeper I had met before coming down to the Sixth Circle. They've all been nice. Is that surprising? It is. Should I be worried? Worried about what they'll do to you? Of course not. They can't do anything to you here. Right, because we're already dead. Okay, let's save. So we can ask about the fires or ask about the muzzle. And I'm assuming when they say fires, they mean the fires on the tombs, on the graves. Gosh, I want to know the answer to both, but I guess right now I'm more interested in why they're wearing the muzzle. Why do you wear a muzzle? It's the first thing you notice, huh? People do not typically walk around wearing metal like that on their faces. Typically. It was put on me by someone else. He said it's supposed to stop me from lying. In truth, it doesn't work. But it's a pretty accessory though, right? Does it make it hard to eat? I don't know. Do people need food in hell? I would be more interested in the first one. Can you take it off? I mean, I'm assuming he can't. But no, not on my own at least. It is unlocked with a key which I do not possess. I cannot saw, cut, or burn through the metal. But that's alright with me. I've never needed to take it off. Well, that makes sense since apparently Dorian can still lie even with it on. But enough of all that. Dorian raised a hand out to the sky, palm up. There was a look of annoyance which briefly came over his face. I looked up to the sky. It was beginning to grow dark, filled with tones I had never seen before in rain clouds. Is rain coming? Ash. For the first few minutes, the fall is not bad, but it can become worse than a raging blizzard. We should hurry back to the library. I'll return later to observe the fires. He extends his hand towards me. Now I kind of wish we'd asked about the fires. Here, the umbrella will shield you from the storm until we get you to shelter. I could taste it in the air. The bitter remains of smoke had already made a home in my tongue. We can take his hand or we can stand next to him. Let's take his hand. See what happens. I grabbed for the hand he was reaching with. It was cold, but I could not tell if that was from the fabric of his gloves or the temperature of his bean. Good choice, Nicole. I don't know. It should be more than 10 minutes. Don't let go. Or it shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. Don't let go. And the two of us walked through fog and past uncovered graves, whose fires blazed despite the upcoming storm. Dorian looked down on me ever so often as we walked, but he barely said a word. Was he judging me, or was he just making sure I was okay? I didn't know. The fog parted as falling ash began to take its place. I had learned about Pompeii when I was a child. I imagined that the citizens of that ancient city witnessed this fall of ash. What would they have thought if they were in my position, unafraid and protected, certain of incoming shelter? Would they have found it beautiful? I would never get those answers. Birds flew above us. I could not see them, but I could hear their calls as they shifted through the ash. Once the fog started shooting upward, as if to bottle the incoming cinders, I spotted a large building. It reminded me of the cathedrals in big cities and tucked into countrysides. You're a demon like the others, right? That is correct. Then how come there's a building in a circle of hell that is themed like a Catholic cathedral? You might call it blasphemous, and I suppose it is. But it's because I've always enjoyed Catholic aesthetics, whether it be in their art or in their architecture. That's interesting. Though I can't say I love what they have to say. Oh gosh. Well, I'm not gonna say that's because you're not human, because I mean there are a lot of people who aren't religious or don't subscribe to that religion. So we'll say that's understandable. It's not up to me or anyone else to change your beliefs. That's right. People don't like for their opinions to be changed. But some of us are masters of the silver tongue. Some may be easily swayed because they have no opinions of their own, and once they gain this opinion, it's permanent. Others may be like vampires who are weak to the silver, and they might turn away. It's why some rooms become echo chambers. It's why I've read scripture and holy books from every religion ever uttered, and yet none stick with me. But I can appreciate aspects of most of them. Does that make any sense? I guess so. Now, shall we go in? As we walked on the steps, the front door opened for us. From it rolled in a dusty aroma, not like the dust and ash of the graves, but instead like old books and wood. Something about it was comforting, much more comforting than the storm, with its clouds putting pressure on the air in my lungs. As soon as we entered, the door shut behind us. I was greeted by an extravagant room filled with books on either side. Above me sat beautiful paintings of mythical creatures, sitting among dead forests and empty beaches. Dorian placed his umbrella in a holder next to the door. There were 3 others clumped together, all from different historical eras. You won't be able to go until the storm passes. Why not? It'll, it'll, it'll obscure where the elevator is. Hard to see, hard to navigate, and it could bury you. It's best to wait it out. How long could it take? I don't know. But you're not in a hurry, right? A few hours or even days is nothing compared to the rest of eternity. Are you cold? I can make you tea, and you can tell me what brings you down here. There is nothing else to be done. Maybe I'll give you a tour, Nicole. Sure. Alright, hurry along then. Dorian reached a hand out to me once more. You might wander off and get lost. There are lots of things in my library of lies that would draw even the purest of souls in. This is the second time we're getting this opportunity to take his hand or sort of keep our distance. I'm wondering what that signifies. Because I just played Parasite in Love, and we were a little too let's just say it didn't end well for me. The answers that I thought we were supposed to give were not the answers we were supposed to give. So I'm really not sure because I don't want it to appear that we're too trusting of him. But we are sort of in his domain, and I don't want to make him angry. So I guess let's take his hand. I grabbed Dorian's hand, who knew it was lurking in the depths of Heresy's walls. I mean, and maybe that isn't very smart, because he is, the keeper of hell. Or, sorry, the keeper of the 6th dimension of hell, which is apparently, related to falsehoods, but, we'll see. That's quite cute of you, darling Fallen. You've done it twice now. Are you scared of something, or are you trying to warm up to me? Come on, Nicole, you can tell me anything. Is he serious? I'm not gonna say it's because we trust him. I mean, we are in hell, and he is the keeper of falsehood, so that would be really unwise of us. And he was just talking about how people are easily swayed, right? Except in the context he was speaking about it, it was with a silver tongue. God, I don't know. I guess we'll just say I'm scared of getting lost. The last thing I'd want is to get swallowed up in hell forever. I'm trying to get out of here. I appreciate the honesty. I had a girl come down here and try to do something as you once. Or try to do the same thing as you once. She got swallowed in the knowledge and never returned. I don't quite know what happened to her. I'm sure, Dorian. One of the books may have swallowed her up. I believe one that begs for blood. Not that I can give it any. We can ask him if he gets many visitors in hell. No. I'm 2/3 of the way to Satan. Most souls asking to be sent back up do not make it past the second circle. They realize what they've done, or those above get hungry and finish them off for good. I swallowed at the thought, and we started walking. We walked past statues, books, globes, and artifacts. He explained that most of the books were of falsehoods, realities which people thought were real, but never truly existed. Beliefs that were closer to fiction than fact. Some of them, locked with pretty black and gold spines, were of truths, of the beauties that existed in the world. I asked why he, as Heresy, kept them. He didn't give me a straight answer. He said there was value in this knowledge. What was valuable about lies? And any time I wanted to reach for something, Dorian swatted my hand away. No matter how much you may preach about sin, shiny objects tempt you, huh? I wondered how old the globes were and what countries they showed. I wondered where he got them. I wondered if any of these books had been read by anyone other than Dorian himself. But why did I care? I wanted to leave eventually. I had to get down to the 9th circle. After what felt like 20 minutes worth of walking, Dorian stopped at an unassuming door. He let go of my hand and grabbed the knob. This is one of my many office spaces. I never get used to them. Only for the spare company. I never get to use them, only for the spare company. He opened it and bowed, a free hand extended into the room. I followed his lead and walked in. The door shut behind us, and Dorian let out a sigh of relief. It was a room with 2 levels. 3 of the 4 walls were lined with books. The only light came from a window parallel to the entry door. Whatever lurked outside I was unable to see, for the ash was too saturated. What's the view out there? From here? Distant fires and mist. I turned back to Dorian with an involuntary sigh. Feel free to sit while I make tea. Do you have a preference on flavors? I prefer floral ones, but I'll do anything for you, Nicole. As long as I have it, of course. I didn't want to have him go out of the way to make something to appease me. I'll just have what you're having. Splendid. He walked over to a small break in the shelves. I stared at the table in front of me, with 2 chairs and papers scattered about it. You can move those to the side, you know. I don't mind. I nodded and started to stack the papers. Most were unopened letters and archival notes, but one letter, half out of its page with a drawing attached, intrigued me. Let's save in case he ends up, killing us for reading this letter, but we're gonna go ahead and read it. I took the papers out. There was one main letter of normal size that was accompanied by smaller pieces, each with a beautiful sketch done in pen. They looked to be of holy beans. Interesting. I read the letter attached, which was written in cursive and reading. Dorian. I've sent some thumbnail ideas for the commission of the 14th wing. Let me know what you think. I'm really excited to start working on these. Any work you give me is such a pleasure. A. I hadn't seen any art pieces in the halls. Is there a part of the library that has some? I placed the letter's contents back in the envelope and sat down. I saw you read that. Sorry? No, it's all right. I'm sure you're curious. Who's it from? A demon friend of mine. They're a painter. I've tried picking up the medium, but it just isn't for me. I try to categorize the wings of my collection. Sometimes it's by century, sometimes it's by region. And I like to decorate them. I keep more than just books. They are artifacts as well. Okay, so we can ask to see the collections later or ask about the other letters. Just as a side note, I do think there are 5 different endings. Let me verify that real quick. Yeah, there are 5 different endings to this. So there are many, many ways that this can play out. Um, Goodness. I mean, he didn't specify what the collections were of, right? I'm intrigued about the collections. Because the letters, I'm assuming, are just going to be more of like the same thing. So let's ask about the collections. May I see the other wings? If the storm has not let up before we are done here, then yes. I'll admit, I am happy that you're interested in what I have. It's history, even if it's weird history. The history of lies and falsehoods. That's the thing about a lie. They'll all be unraveled by the end. He returned with two cups. One was a plain straw in a cup, which I assumed was for him. The other was a beautiful teacup with a golden handle and deep blue flowers, painted like the night sky. I heard there is a competition going on. It describes itself as the indie game Male Yandere Showdown. So this is actually a reference to something going on currently on itch. So now, I don't know what all those words mean, but I love a good competition. So I'm assuming this game was entered into that as well, and that's like a reference to it. You'll vote for me, right? Okay, yeah. With how much I've shown my love for you, I hope you will. Well, you haven't really shown us too much, Dorian. I've watched you. I've cared for you. I've killed for you. Excuse me? I've killed for you. I've dedicated myself to you, and only you in the loneliness of the ash. Is he about to kill us? Because this seems to have escalated very quickly. Like, we were just having some tea, and then all this happened. It has all been for your sakes. So you'll vote for me, right? Thorin placed the fancy cup in front of me, and his on the other side. Finally, he sat down and twirled some of his hair around his finger. I hope you enjoyed it. It's blueberries, hibiscus, cherries, and some other fruits. I'm sure it'll pick you up in the darkness down here at least. Okay, we can say I didn't take you for a fruity tea person, or I say thanks. I mean, I wish we could do both, because I don't want to seem ungrateful, but I didn't take him for a fruity tea person. I mean, he's, you know, this is hell. Really. Is it because I'm so gloomy? I dress in black and white with the spinal cord as my boots heel. What? Is it because of the desolation? Even in the ash storm, I've made my own light. I prefer fruity tea over the bitter stuff. He placed the straw between the bars of his muzzle so he could take a sip. It was scorching hot, and he was drinking it immediately. So let's start this over, Nicole. Dorian was cut off by a sound hitting the window nearby. The two of us turned to find the source. It was a bird with black feathers that contrasted against the light dust of the outside storm. It stared at me for a few seconds, flapping its wings to keep it in place, and before I could process it, the bird flew off into the choose. I noticed them earlier. Why do you have birds? I don't know, but they don't bother me. I let them fly about. Some of them nest on the spires. Blackbirds are my favorite animal. He cleared his throat and resumed the conversation. You've recently died, and you were sent to Limbo, the first circle. Now you want to go through each circle until you reach Satan of the ninth. You hope to state your case and be allowed into the heavens. That's correct. Now, do you know why you were brought down to hell? I don't. I've been a devotee to the Lord all my life. Interesting. So MC is actually a religious person, and apparently practicing. So, you're going down to visit him without knowing what you may have done wrong. I believe it's a mistake. That I was mistaken for someone else. Really, no. That's what I think, especially because everyone has been so kind to me as I've traveled down. Maybe they're kind to you because, they feel like you're one of them, though. If it's not exactly a mistake, then it's a test. He said nothing, tapping his fingers instead on the cup in his hand. We should start from the beginning then, shouldn't we? We can figure out where you might have messed up if we talk about it. When did you die? January 1st. We died on New Year's? Interesting. On the solemnity of Mary Mother of God? Yes, I was on my way to Mass. Is that a, like, actual, observed religious day? I don't know the correct terminology. That's unfortunate. And how did you die, Nicole? I fell. Before going into the church, someone asked me to help with something on the roof. We had been doing renovations, you see, and we had some birds that began to nest on the steeple. Someone asked me to climb up one of the ladders to try and whisk the birds away. It would have been bad for them and bad for us, of course. But as I climbed up the ladder, I must have slipped on the last step. I think one of the birds flew out and startled me, so I fell off and onto my back. I could hear nothing, and all I could feel was blood. It felt like it was everywhere, squirting against my neck, dripping down my forehead, and clustering in my eyes. My body felt wrong, but in every wrong angle and shape, or bent in every wrong angle and shape. I looked up and watched the sky until my vision went dark. It was like watching a solar eclipse. And then I ended up here. Not in your circle, obviously. Do you regret dying, Fallen? He had he had called me that, and only now did I find it odd. I didn't tell Dorian my cause of death before this. Oh, I assumed he was calling her Fallen because, she's in hell. But maybe he's calling her Fallen literally because she fell and that's how she died. Oh, I want answers to all these questions, darn it. So we can answer this question, or we can call it the nickname. Um, I don't, unless he's going to give us further context, I don't see what calling it the nickname will do. But at the same time, I don't want to be giving him more information than what we're getting. And I feel like it's pretty obvious that she probably would be, but she wouldn't want to die. Let's call it the nickname. Why do you keep calling me Fallen? This is my first time telling you how I died. Is it? You already knew about my death, didn't you? I heard birds and everything. Fallen is a nickname that I give to those who come down here asking for forgiveness for the fallen angel himself, or from the fallen angel himself. People who believe they have fallen from where they should be. Fallen from the earth and down here instead. It's a coincidence. Is it? You don't have to believe me. I'm not expecting validation from you, Nicole. You're in my domain, after all. Everything you're seeing in front of you could be a lie. Who knows? But it's no use dwelling on hypotheticals. We have more important things to discuss. Your locket. Huh? He held his hand out to me. Let me see it. I had nearly forgotten the new piece of jewelry which sat loosely around my neck, after I tried prying it open to no avail in the second circle. Why? You know how people will keep the portraits and memories of the loved tucked in a locket close to their heart, so they do not forget what is most important to them. It's similar to that, only it's with your memories. Yeah, but, like, we clearly can't trust you. So I unhooked the silver clasp sitting on the back of my neck and handed it to him. He was careful not to touch the clasp. Why? The keeper of those circles offered no response when I asked about its purpose. Dorian stared up and walked to a row of books behind him. Each looked old, older than any church I had ever visited. It'll be easier to parse through if we can just. He picked up the fifth book from the left, which had a faded label with 13 written in purple. This one should work. Dorian began flipping through the pages, being gentle with each one. Every so often, he pushed his glasses up with his index finger. What are you doing? I'm trying to find an empty page. There we go. Why are you looking for an empty page? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save here. I'm not sure how long this will take us to work through. This particular game is 8,000 words per playthrough, I think. But I am going to try and get all the endings. Because the storyline is pretty intriguing so far, I have to say. Like I said, I could definitely understand how this wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea, especially if you are, really religious or you just don't like the religious themes. But I personally find it really interesting. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next time.